an interesting one here from Kingston today.
Okay.
Quite a title.
Yeah, go ahead and give it to us.
All right. My mom has been acting strange ever since I got back home from a party recently. I think I'm in danger.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. My mom has been acting strange ever since I got back home from a party recently. So she was there, apparently, and she seen what he was doing and was like, ah! And, like, her life changed altogether, right? Or she's seen him, like, doing some illegal, illicit things, and now he's definitely in danger.
I mean, like, I think I'm in danger of what? Being grounded? Being skinned alive?
Yeah, is it from her?
I think.
Yeah.
We had to
Creepy.
find out. I mean, like, what kind of mom, like, how does she usually punish you?
Oh, no. I don't like the punishment stuff on kids.
ankles.
We'll have to figure out how old this kid is to see if I feel comfortable.
I'm assuming if they're at a party.
Yeah, they're not 6 years
like-
old. That's great.
I hope the mom sounds like that. You've been at a party. You smell of flesh.
Smell flesh and decay.
You smell of flesh and decay and alcohol. Here we go. Right now, I don't even know if this is the best course of action, but I feel that it's important to document what exactly has been happening at my house these past 2 weeks. I'm quite honestly terrified. However, I don't think I can go to the police or my friends with this information. My mom and I live in a simple 2-story house, just the two of us. We always get along great and spend a decent amount of time together. But ever since I got back from my friend's party, she hasn't been the same. I got home pretty late, maybe 2 or 3 a.m. This kid's not 6.
No, the kid's not 6. That's a for sure thing moving forward.
I'm going to assume they're somewhere between like 18 and early 20s still living at home. So I got home pretty late, maybe 2 or 3 a.m. I pulled my car into the driveway and entered the house as quietly as possible so as not to disturb my mom while she was sleeping. I quietly sneaked through the darkness of my house to the kitchen to get some water and snacks to take up to my room. When I entered the kitchen, I turned on the light and to my surprise, my mother was already standing in the kitchen. She's looking out the window over the sink into the dark expanse of our backyard. Startled as hell, I asked her,
Mom, why are you standing in the dark in the middle of the kitchen? And what are you looking at? It's a bit creepy.
I tried to make some humor out of the situation, expecting another humorous remark to be made back at me, but she didn't respond. From where I was standing, I was unable to see her face as she looked out the window. It was hard to get a read of the situation and what exactly was going through her mind, so I speak up again and change the subject.
Well, the party was pretty chill. I kind of left early since all the people I actually cared about left.
I said as I grabbed what I needed from the fridge. Still a bit curious and worried about her, I asked,
Hey, are you okay?
She responds to me without taking her eyes off the yard.
Yes, okay.
But the way she said it felt off. She said it in what seemed like an excited, cheery voice. Like she was accepting an invitation or proposal from someone that really excited her. It felt completely inappropriate for the mood and setting we were in. It was hard to explain. Well, from all of the horror movies I've seen, I knew that approaching her was not really something I should do. And honestly, at the time, her answer was good enough to me. I took my snacks and went up to my room immediately to sleep, leaving the lights in the kitchen on for her to finish whatever she was doing. I think it's weird that your mom's just up in the middle of the night staring out the window and not really communicating with you, but I also think it's a little weird that you immediately are like, I better not approach her, considering I've seen a lot of horror movies. Like,
yeah, that
everything's been kind of normal till then.
Right, that whole plug that they did with the horror thing probably could have been left out, in my opinion. But at the same time, you have to almost realize like what site you posted this on is obviously it's giving a hint.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Out the
Yeah.
front gate. Yeah, I don't hate it or not hate it. I think it is strange, but it's also normal because I remember coming home 2-3 a.m. so many times where shit, my dad was waiting for me on the porch and.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't always a bad thing. He just wanted to make sure that I got home, you know?
Boy had himself a time.
Boy.
What'd you do, boy? The next morning, I woke up to the smell of breakfast. This was normal, as she usually cooks breakfast for me on the weekends since she's in no rush to get to work. I come downstairs and greet her with a
"Good morning,"
as I pour myself some juice from the fridge and take a seat. She responds with a
"Good morning, sweetie."
She seemed completely back to normal. I was relieved. I didn't know what happened last night. I didn't know if she was being emotional or if I was overanalyzing it, but I was ready to move past it. She turns around from the stove with an omelet and some potatoes and begins to plate my food. Yeah, that's good, mama.
Oh yeah,
Get
potatoes.
fucking omelet service after
Yeah.
a drunken night of debauchery.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've even had anything other than like scrambled eggs.
A quick scramble.
A quick scram.
She asked me how the party was and if I slept well. I was going to mention that I already told her last night, but just decided to leave it.
It was good. Kind of left early since all the people I actually cared about left.
I replied with the same explanation as yesterday.
I see. Well, I'm glad you didn't stay the whole night because then you wouldn't have made it for breakfast today.
It seemed like she didn't notice that I gave her the same answer as the previous night. So now, I gotta wonder if they're, kind of hinting at, maybe there's something else, possessing the mom? Maybe the mom has no recollection of standing there. Maybe she's possessed, Maybe something's calling to her.
Sleepwalking. It could be anything like that, yeah.
After a bit more chatter, we sit down together and begin to start eating breakfast. As I cut into my omelet and raise my fork to my mouth for the first bite, I noticed something strange about the piece I had cut. I looked closer and noticed something shiny within the slightly runny inside of the omelet. I took it out with my hand to see what was a small sewing needle. Boy,
Uh-oh.
that ain't no good.
Uh-oh.
Small enough to where it would be almost completely undetectable until it was too late. My heart started to beat fast as I asked her.
Mom? What is this?
I hold the needle up and show her what I found in my food.
This was inside my food.
After seeing it, her face looked concerned. She immediately apologized and stressed to me over and over about how she had no idea how it got inside my omelet.
I'm so sorry. You know I would never knowingly do something to hurt you.
She says to me as she gives me a hug.
Don't eat that anymore. I'll make you a whole new one.
So is the mom kind of giving off obvious vibes, putting the word knowingly in there?
Yeah.
I would never do something knowingly to hurt you.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like a sidestep. A lot of people that lie say, well, I wouldn't knowingly do that. It's a trigger.
Right.
You know what I mean? Otherwise you should just be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, I don't know how that got in there. Taking fault, I believe, that's the angle.
What the fuck? Give me that! Fucking just smash the plate against the wall.
Right. Right.
By that time, I had lost my appetite, but she was able to convince me that it truly was an accident. I honestly started to feel a little bad for even humoring the idea that she did it on purpose. It was just such a strange occurrence that I had to wonder if there was any malicious intent behind it. The rest of the day continued normally. We laughed a lot, watched some of our favorite movies, gossiped, and then ended our long day with a usual good night. I went to bed that night around 10:30 p.m. When I was a little kid, I was deathly afraid of the dark, so my mom bought 2 night lights and put one in my room and the other in the hallway. While I don't use one in my bedroom anymore, we for some reason still have continued to leave one on in the hallway. I guess that we were just used to it being there and never really had a reason not to have it there. Later on in the night, I woke up thirsty and drank from the glass of water on my dresser next to the bed. In the process of doing so, I noticed something odd. Under my door, I could see the familiar glow of the nightlight. However, the glow was being partially covered by a shadow. I could tell that someone was standing right outside the door. This was unnerving enough to make me do absolutely nothing but stare for 1 or 2 minutes. The shadow never shifted, not even slightly. What time is this? What time did they say this was in the middle of the night?
After midnight or 10:30. Later on the night, he woke up, so that it didn't really give a specific time frame. It's just after 10:30, technically. So it could have been 11, it could have been 2. I'm guessing, though, waking up and seeing a shadow under your door, one, how long has it been standing there? She almost seems like she's going into
Some kind of trance.
Yeah, it seems like she's kind of going into like a trance of some sort.
After some time, I called out towards the door.
Mom?
Without hearing any response, I see the shadow begin to move slowly and quietly back toward the direction of my mother's room. The next morning, I came downstairs to breakfast again, slightly tired. After the shadow incident, I was unable to sleep well for the rest of the night. I couldn't shake that feeling that I was constantly being watched. Immediately, I asked about it.
Mom, were you standing outside of my room last night at like 3 a.m.?
Everything always fucking happens at 3 a.m., damn it.
3 a.m. is the witching hour, right?
I guess, man. I don't know. I guess like when Jesus died or something.
Well, they say that it's the closest different worlds are the closest together, and I don't know.
Dude, that's when I always wake up.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely like 2:30, 3 o'clock-ish pretty regularly.
I'll wake up and I'm like, let me guess. It's fucking 3 a.m. I don't even want to look.
Yeah.
Creeps me out. Ignoring my questioning, she says to me,
Remember when you were younger and you would let me brush out the curls in your hair? We should try that again. Come on.
So I'm taking it maybe our...
That's creepy.
is either a dude with long hair like myself or it's a girl. I guess it doesn't really matter. They just never really mention who they are. But it's a long-haired folk.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
Maybe. Who knows? I'd let my mom brush my hair.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great. Think about how much time you would save.
I make Jenny brush my hair. It works. Come brush my hair. So she wants to brush her hair. She sounds like she's out of her mind.
Yep.
Come on, it'll be fun.
I'll go brush my hair. Brush my hair, Mom.
She beckons me toward the kitchen sink that was already slightly filled with water. Oh, bitch, you getting drowned.
Oh, no. Here it comes.
I noticed some conditioner and a brush on the counter as well. At this point, I was reluctant. After weighing the evidence of what had happened to me since the night of the party, I think anyone would be reluctant. But somewhere in me, it felt ridiculous to imagine that my mom was suddenly an enemy. I figured that I was overreacting and decided to let her take care of my hair. I sat down, leaned back, and put my hair over the sink, looking up at her in the ceiling as she began to condition and detangle all the knots I had in my curly hair. I had forgotten how good it felt to have my hair maintained by someone. After about 25 minutes of conditioning and talking to me about random stuff to pass the time, she tells me it's time to finish up. I felt my hair and was surprised how smooth and hydrated it felt. She began to rinse my hair with a spray nozzle of the sink. After rinsing most of it, she tells me to stand up and put my head face first into the sink so that she can finish the last bit of rinsing on the back of my head. Oh, man.
It's a trap.
Just like holding her down.
You're walking into a trap.
I feel like with that amount of weird behavior, like
Yeah, no, like this is what I'm envisioning, like almost like The Purge, where like people were like trapped in that like smiling, they're like smiling the whole time. You know what I mean? Like those masks. I just imagine like just like ear to ear smiling while she's having conversation, like eyes completely locked and glazed. Like
we should brush your hair. We should brush your hair.
Yeah, kind of like Tommy Taffy almost. Like
Yeah.
that's how I imagine her acting right now.
We have to take care of it. Everyone takes care of their hair.
There's too many knots.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Now I just got goosebumps. That's weird.
We continued our conversation as she rinsed my hair. But while I was in the middle of talking, I felt a sudden, hard grip dig deep into my hair. Suddenly, my head is thrusted into the water that filled the sink. I immediately began to panic. I was being drowned. You would be surprised how absolutely weak you feel in a situation like this. Your mind is in a state of panic while someone has their entire weight over you, holding you down by the back of your head. My arms alternated between flailing around, trying to push myself up, using the edges of the kitchen counter. After what felt like ages, the grip released and I instantly raised my head out from the water, coughing and trying to catch my breath. I turned around viciously and stared at my mother.
What the fuck are you doing?
I yelled while trying to regain my balance. She begins to laugh and point at me with one hand while the other slaps her knee over and over.
I got you. You should have seen your face.
I stared in disbelief. My unhappy reaction was obvious enough for her to stop laughing and look at me with a concerned look.
Oh, sweetie, don't be such a bad sport. It was just a joke.
She walked toward me with a hugging motion. I maneuvered myself away from her, backing up cautiously with the same cautious look on my face. I was scared of her. That was not my mother's kind of humor. My mom would never take a joke so far, not far enough to risk hurting me. This was the point I knew that something was wrong with her. Yeah, that's fair. At this point, you're like, all right, my mom's staring out the window, middle of the night. Maybe I can't believe my kid's partying late. I hope that she gets her life straight. Maybe a needle fell in the omelet. Why is she standing outside of my door? Maybe she's reminiscing. The bitch just tried to drown me. You're in danger. That's official.
Yeah, I mean, and here's another point. Like, as a man, who do you know more in your life probably than anybody else? Your mother, right? I mean, like,
yeah,
she was the one that nursed you to the person that you became. So, like, there's no reason why he should feel uncomfortable. And if all of a sudden she's acting completely different than she ever had before, red flag.
Something's going on. Gotta call a doctor. This was the point where I wasn't even sure if that was my mom anymore. From this point on, I was distant. I would only talk to her when necessary. I started skipping breakfast and dinner while staying in my room more. The nights where she would stand outside of my door continued. It happened every night at around the same time. Every night, the shadow under my door would disappear after some time. I was on edge a lot more. I started leaving the house more often and staying at friends' houses when I could, as long as it meant that I could stop spending so much time in the same house as her. She stopped going to work. Instead, I would always see her outside in the backyard during the day doing random things like digging holes, stabbing the grass with a trowel, or standing on the grass talking to herself, though I was never able to hear what she was saying. But what happened to me last night was something I'll never forget. Before going to sleep, I remember praying that I would be able to sleep through the night peacefully without waking up, as seeing her shadow underneath the door always makes me deeply uncomfortable and scared. To my misfortune, when my eyes opened up to the darkness of my room, I realized that I had woken up in the middle of the night again. I slowly bring my eyes to the bottom of the door and see that she is there again, standing on the other side of my door, silently. I lay my head back down and try extremely hard to sleep, but given the conditions, there was no chance that I was even close to sleeping again. But this time, I heard a knock on my door. Alright, before we go forward, let me ask you this. If this has been going on for a while, how many nights does this go on before you open the fucking door and you're like, bitch, what are you doing?
One night. Literally one night.
You would have done that at night one?
Yeah, literally after the first time. Like I might let it slide, thinking, man, maybe she had like some kind of sleepwalking episode. So I don't want to be a total savage. But night two, let's say night two. Night two, I'm opening the door and I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? Straight up, what the fuck are you doing? Now, this kind of makes me feel. My mind has all of a sudden turned to more of like a demonic possession thing now for some reason. That's where my mind is with it now. Because it's happening at the same time, which is quote unquote experts say about that stuff. That's around the time that those things kind of happen.
I heard a knock at my door. 1, 2, 3. 3 soft, spaced out knocks. After that, it was dead silence. I laid there, deeply terrified. Why was she knocking this time? Why now after all this time? My mind was racing. Then, a realization entered my mind that frightened me to the point where I was barely able to move. My door doesn't have a lock. Since I was a kid, it never had a lock. The only barrier left that prevented access to me didn't even have a lock. I heard the knocks again. 1, 2, 3. I immediately hid my head under the covers, returning to the child instincts that kept me safe from monsters all those years ago. However, this time, I knew this wouldn't keep me safe. I heard the door slowly creep open. My eyes closed tightly shut as I hid under my blankets. I listened for footsteps entering my room, preparing myself for the worst. But there were no footsteps. Did she give up? Did she open the door and just leave? Is she still standing there now? All of these thoughts crossed my mind. Not knowing the answer was only scaring me even more. I laid under my blankets and listened. I listened for what felt like 5 minutes. The silence was immense. I had no idea what was happening or what my fate was. I continued to listen. Silence. Then I heard a flurry of pitter-patter. It was going inhumanly fast, and I could hear the sound of contact being made with the floor, and then the walls, and then the ceiling. It was all around my room. My heart sank. My eyes were closed so tightly shut that it physically hurt. I'm imagining like that scrambling pitter-patter like you see in like Exorcist movies when people are like climbing the walls and shit.
Yeah, no, that's up in the corner, like staring down. Yeah, that's the same kind of feel I got from it.
And here it is. Is she on all fours? Is she just running that fast on her feet? How is she going around my room like that? Is this where I die? These were the last thoughts I had before I lost consciousness. I don't know if it was induced by a panic attack or stress or what, but I do know that I'm mostly glad that it took me out of the moment. I woke up the next morning to everything in my room knocked over and in disarray. It was nowhere in sight. Did it leave? Is it in the house still? Notice she's calling it now.
Yeah. Now it's definitely an entity rather than like a human being.
I still do not know. After finally getting the courage to leave my bed, I was able to get a chair and prop it up against my door as I type this. I don't know who I should talk to or where I should go, but I do know that I will not be staying here another night. I haven't heard any noise from within my house since waking up. I'm posting this here because I have a feeling that this is the only place where people will believe what is happening to me. I'm going to take the chair off the door and make a run for it. I still haven't heard anything outside of the door, so the coast seems clear. I will make it out of here and I will never come back.
Wow. So where's Mom at this point?
Man, I'll tell you what. I mean, this was a post from 2022. I don't think we're getting a part 2. So
obviously Cliffhanger Express, but at the same time,
Cliffhanger Express.
Yeah, you know they're not going back there. That's for sure.
Or they're dead. I mean, I feel like that has to be the assumption. They don't make it out because they would have came back and been like, hey, my mom's getting counseling. She had a psychotic episode. Kingston didn't make it out. It's over.
Never gonna make it out.
I think it's really cool that all of those things that occurred, you don't see the mom climbing all over the walls and the ceiling. You just hear it. You don't actually know that's what's going on. And the needle and the omelet, the drowning, all those things are completely possible. You know, not that the other stuff's not, but who knows?
It was a good build-up. It could have went anywhere. Where it went and how it ended, I feel like it's pretty acceptable for the length of these. Yeah. No, I dug it a lot. It was good.
It was a cool one.
Well, you'll have to stick around or subscribe to hear more stories just like this.
You will subscribe.
Subscribe.
You will subscribe or die.
Yeah, I appreciate Trough-Born Son being here with us today. Thank you for doing most of the reading.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to have a break every once in a while. I am the Micrid Masochist. Farewell.